What's going on? How's it hanging? How's it happen? You guys know this is Kevin from the Chord Progression Podcast. And today we get to dive deep into a band that is booming right now. We have Wes from Flat Black on the podcast today, and we talk about them playing big live shows already with bands like I Prevail and Godsmack, backing tracks. Should we use them? Should we not use them? What's the debate? Well, we both agree on this one, so we talk about this. And having a fans first mentality when it comes to the live show. It is all wrapped into one to show why this band is continually growing so damn fast, and you're going to want to be a part of the ride when that new album comes out at the beginning of 2024. Are you guys ready? Let's go! Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, listeners of the Chord Progression Podcast. I know you have heard about this band over the past couple of years. You've known a lot about them. There's been a lot of press about them because Jason Hook, former guitarist for Five Finger Death Punch, was the founder of this band, still going strong, and now they're out on the road right now as we're talking to them. They're in Canada as we're speaking to this man right now, touring with Godsmack, I Prevail, and a debut album set to come out early in 2024. If you're not into this band right now, that's a severe problem, okay? And this is going to be how we fix it through this podcast right here. So please welcome Wes from the band Flat Black to the podcast. So Wes, welcome to the Chord Progression Podcast.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Happy to be here.
Happy to have you on here. And even with my massive, tongue-tied slip, instead of saying, what was it? I can't even remember what I said, but Wes, welcome, Wesum, whatever. I'm already messing up as already.
It's all good, man. I do that shit all the time.
Yeah, it's just what makes life fun. But you guys are, out on the road right now, big tour with Godsmack and I Prevail. How's all that shit going right now, man? Because it's got to be a wild ride.
Yeah, it's going good because, especially like I Prevail, I listened to a lot when I was in high school and stuff. So it's pretty wild. Playing with them, it's like I'm like, oh, I know this song, and I know this song, and this song. So I have I have a nice little for me. I mean, relatively speaking, it's only 10 years ago at this point. But I have a little nostalgia blast after I play. I get to watch I Prevail, and of course, Godsmack has all those legendary songs from the 2000s. So it's crazy enough with all that. And, this is my second tour ever. And our first tour as a band. So it's a really big opportunity. We're really grateful. And, the fans have been great. It's been cool because, we play unreleased material, which is a little bit strange, a little bit unorthodox. But it's cool. You have to win the crowd over because they don't know the words. You have to, either I see this is a band. They got guitars and shit. Okay, and then you see them sort of change when they're like, okay, the songs are cool. This is interesting. We go crazy and we have a fun time. So it's fun. You get to kind of win people over. But that being said, I'm pretty excited for everyone to know the music and for the album to come out because I think it'll be even better. It's all been great. We're super stoked with how things are going. It's better than we all expected. That's for sure.
I can totally understand where you're coming from when you're playing music that's unreleased right now, a majority of it being unreleased. And when it comes to people in the crowd, they don't know exactly how to react. They're not aware of the songs, so they're not aware of the flow of the energy. So they're just kind of trying to figure it out as they go along. But in one capacity, yeah, it does put you a little bit of a handicap because in terms of the other bands, just because no one knows what to expect. But at the same time, that could be a positive. No one knows what to expect, so everyone's going in seeing Flat Black with an absolute open mind. And when they're going to see you, it's, okay, what am I going to expect? I don't know, but I'm ready for whatever. And you have a chance to blow everyone away with one hell of a first impression in a live setting. That's not something you're always going to get.
Right. And, I think the people that are coming to see, oh, I want to see this band are, Jason has just such a huge track record of, he was in his other band for a long time, and he's majority responsible for a lot, majority wise, in terms of the songs, he's mostly responsible for a lot of their hit songs. And I think people know that, and they might not know the songs, but they know, okay, these are Jason was involved in these songs, so it's going to be good based on his the dude's sitting on I don't know, 6 or 7 platinum records or some shit like that. It's undeniable. The song quality is undeniable, and I love metal and I love rock music too. But at the end of the day, it's the songs are everything, and they're expecting, Jason tier, high quality songs. And I think we're delivering. I mean, it's the response is like, I'm like, wow, this is pretty good for people not knowing the songs. Like, I'm like, oh geez, I didn't expect this all this, but yeah, of course, it's been great. I got no complaints really,
I
but
would be surprised.
again,
I'll say
can't wait for that to come out.
yeah, I was gonna say I'd be surprised if you had any complaints at that point in time. But when it comes to fans, it makes a lot of sense. Everyone knows who Jason Hook is, so there's gonna be an expectation around not only the sound but the quality of that sound as well. And when you've got 6, 7 platinum records under your belt, yeah, we're expecting something that's going to be of quality, even when it comes to maybe a band that, it's a part that people have not really heard of yet, even though they're going to be hearing of you guys more and more and more as time goes on, as that record drops. But when people are coming to the show, there's this anticipation already where there's that built-in sort of trust with Jason's music, with Jason's
Right.
ideas. So when people go and listen to you guys, when people are seeing you live, even when they don't know the songs, they're already having this positive reception towards you. And then when you come out and play, it's a positive reception, but it's like an open canvas positivity, just due to the fact that we don't know exactly what to expect. We can hear 2 songs on Spotify right now, but outside of that, it's like, what else can we hear? If you want to hear more before the album drops, you got to go see these guys play live, and you get to experience it before anybody else does.
Right. Yeah, and there's definitely that expectation, and the me and the other guys in the band are pretty like seasoned musicians in terms of, we've done this stuff before, and we've spent a lot of time making sure that it's really good, and that we can perform really high quality, like as close to the record as possible. And the way that we do things live too, it's like it's a band, man. It's not like we have like some stuff going on digitally, but it's 95% like this is guitar, drums, bass, and vocals. Like it's a real band. And there's plenty of bands around, but I promise you we're doing less. Or I guess we're we're doing more real stuff and less fucking computer shit than 95% of people playing out right now, I would guess. It's just real. It's really real. It's like real stuff. I spent the last year, I sang these songs and practiced these songs for 3 hours every day. Like, dude, it's serious. Like, I'm not fucking around. Like, this needs to be this is my job. Like, it's imperative that I do this super well so that the fans are like, holy shit. Like, I don't know this music, but dude, these guys deliver. And by the way, it's not just me. Like, the other guys too. Like Rob, the drummer, he's put in a ton of time and it shows. And he's got like paradiddles are like the drum exercises. He's got it all tattooed on his fingers. Yeah, he's got it's all tattooed on his fingers. So he's like, it's in your blood at that point. The bass player too, he's a great singer too. So he backs me up quite a bit. And it's it's it shows, I think, that it should transfer really well. When we play live, it should show significantly. That we've put in a ton of time, and a lot of kids ask me too this like question about like, oh, I want to start a band. What do I do? Like, how do I do this stuff? I'm like, dude, first of all, if you're putting in more time, like if you're just practicing more than other people, like you're already ahead. Because people don't practice. They're just like, oh, I play guitar in a band. I don't need to get better. I just need to play my songs. But like, no, we're not about that. It's like we take this stuff like really serious, and we want to be like a real band and not like rely on the computers and shit to make everything happen. So I think there's something else for you if you're coming to see Flat Black play. There's something else, and it's sort of a nostalgic touch of like how it used to be when you saw bands live. Because I don't go to a ton of shows. It's not really like my scene anymore for whatever reason. Have you ever seen that photo of like it's like a picture of a football player in full pads, like looking out into a football stadium, and he's like in the audience. You know what I'm talking about?
Yep. Oh, I know what
Yeah,
you're talking about.
like it's like a suited up football player, and it's like how I feel going to a show as a musician, and it's like being suited up in a football uniform and not playing, kind of. Yeah, so it's we have that sort of nostalgic thing, because when I go to shows of a lot of modern bands, I like, because I like you said you like, you're listening to We Came as Romans,
Mhm.
bands like that. Like I grew up on that stuff. Like I love like metalcore, deathcore. Like I like that stuff a lot. Um, and as we've sort of transferred over into these like 2020s, I guess, like a lot of that stuff is super digital, which is, I mean, I still like it. It's fine. Like I like that stuff. I mean, especially We Came as Romans as an example, like tons of synth work. And I don't think they should delete that stuff, for the sake
Mhm.
of being a real band. Like that's not what I'm saying. It's just a different sound, it's a different style. Where it's a rock band like through and through. So it's guitar, bass, drums, and vocals primarily. There's a little bit of other stuff, but it's mostly that. It's mostly a fucking band, man.
Yeah, I was actually going to use We Came as Romans as an example to kind of compare and contrast against what you guys are doing, where after literally just seeing We Came as Romans last night, they do have a lot of synths in their music. And especially if you go
Right.
back to what they had previously before Dark Bloom, before the unfortunate passing of Kyle Pavone, what you end
Yeah.
up having in there is you had him doing a lot of the synths, you had him doing a lot of the work. And one of the big issues that with him not being there and the band not wanting to replace someone that's so pivotal to the band is, how do you make sure you can still play those songs and continue forward, especially the songs that people absolutely love and are connected with? Well, you got to add the digital piece in there. You got to continue the backing tracks. You got to add that in there, but it amplifies the show. You're not losing anything. You're amplifying the show with it. You're not relying
Yeah.
so heavily on it, because you still got two guitarists, you got a bass, you got a drummer, you got Dave up there screaming his ass off. So it works in that capacity compared to what you guys are doing, where it's 95% real and you've got the the flavor on top, the sprinkles on top of the sundae is the digital piece to amplify the show in that aspect. What allows you guys to do is be as real as possible, and just lets you to kind of even work on the fly at times too, because you're not so heavily reliant on programming to amplify the show, to where you can ad lib, you can go off tangent, you can go with whatever, and it's a lot easier for you to do that and work within the crowd at the same time. Again, both styles work, but it's something where, is it going to work for your kind of music, and are you going to be able to deliver on that when it comes to a live setting, whether you're more of a heavier in the electronic and the digital side or not?
Yeah, and I want to be clear that I'm not against that
Mm.
at all. Unfortunately, like it's sort of this subject that this is this modern subject that we like can't get away from. And like a lot of times, like I don't know if you saw the like I just talked about this in a different interview too, but I still think it's like relevant. Like I was in Falling in Reverse for like a very short period of time, and there was this whole thing where Ronnie was talking about like backing tracks and the laptops, and like basically what happened was is like his crew left behind the laptops
Mm-hmm.
from their that they used at their show. They left it at the venue before, so like they couldn't play the next day because they didn't have that stuff. Because and the boomer argument comes out in the form of Sebastian Bach, which is like, oh, these guys can't play without their laptops. Oh, that's not real music. Like, I get that argument and stuff, but you know, like the fans don't care about this shit and they don't want to talk about it. And like people, it just keeps getting brought up. It's like it's a very local. Oh my god! Like I used to play in local bands too. It's like a very local band discussion. Like
Mm-hmm.
local bands love talking about like, oh well, we don't use tracks, or oh man, that band uses a lot of tracks. It's like, dude, nobody cares but you. Like fans don't give a shit about that. Musicians do, and like it's the musicians that are like playing in like 150 capacity clubs and crossing their arms and saying, "Oh, this isn't real." Like, yeah, exactly, yeah. It's those guys like that care about that the most, and they're not buying your shit, and they don't give a fuck about your music. They just want to see everything fucking burn to the ground, dude. And like it's a conversation that just this I know I'm talking about it, but this is probably like one of the last times I'm going to talk about it,
Yeah.
because it's like dude, the fans don't want to hear that shit. They're gonna come to a show and they're gonna hear what they want to hear, and like you just should just kill it. Use tracks if you want to use tracks if it makes your shit sound better, but like you don't need to address it. You don't need to talk about it. Like the fans don't care. The fans want to see you, and like dude, like the fucking rap music. I was talking about this yesterday with some of my guys. Like rap music, some rappers just like go on and play their songs on playback, and they don't do like they just show up because people just want to see them in person. They don't even want to see them perform. They go out and they put their songs on the PA speakers and just blast them and just jump around and like say a couple words every now and then into the mic for their song. You know, because people don't care. They're getting paid millions of dollars because they just want to see you in person. Like the fans don't care about that stuff. And you know, as a musician, you might find that offensive, but like at the end of the day, like yeah, okay, maybe Drake can go in the studio and crank out an album in 1/10 of the time it'll take my band to record maybe a song or two. You know, it's rap is there's such a small, like anyone can do that stuff. Anyone can make the beats and crank it out and push it out really fast. And then it's like anyone can do music now. And I think like musicians get really fucking hurt over that. They're like, oh, this guy made this. Lil Uzi Vert put out a 90-second song and it's got 100 fucking bazillion plays, and no one will listen to my band. Like, dude, you know, it's like it's so easy to get. It's so easy to get. Well, I'm doing this and it's cooler than that. You know, there's always that sentiment, and I think the backing tracks thing is one of those things. It's one of those things where boomers try to take the fucking high ground of, oh, back in my day, we didn't have any of this shit. They did back in your day. It was called tape, and bands were on tape, and they used tracks back in the day, just not in the same way, and there wasn't laptops and stuff. So you know, it's this sort of endless local. It's super fucking local, man. It's like everyone needs to grow up and just let it go, and abandon this conversation because the fans don't care, man. The fans want to hear you and just want to see you play.
Absolutely. And
You know,
the fans is like, especially from my perspective, I want to see the best show possible that's out there. I want to experience the best show out there possible. So
totally.
if it's going to be you guys playing up there, no backing tracks, if that's going to be what makes you sound the best and put on the best show, that's what I want to see. Or if
Yep.
having all those backing tracks, if having the laptops there is going to amplify your music and amplify the live setting, I'm all for it. And again, like you said, with Falling Reverse, that's the perfect example for it because from my perspective, I don't want to go to see Falling Reverse and hear Popular Monster and not have the backing tracks in there and just hear it just as raw as possible because it's not going to sound as good. It's not going to hit as powerful. It's not going to be as fun. I'm going to be in the pit sitting there like, what the fuck is this shit? But play it with the tracks, play it live. I'm like, I'm ready to kick someone's fucking ass. Let's go do this right now. But it all depends on what is going to make the best live show for your fans.
Totally. Yeah, I'm totally with you there. I mean that, you know, that I think it's that dude's an easy target. But at the end of the day, you know, he's making innovative music that's you know, it has guitars too. Like it has that rock element, but it's also the super digital. But you know, you start that song on playback, the fucking synthesizer. Once that kicks in, everybody goes, "What?" It's fucking huge reaction every time because they don't care. They don't care if it's on a fucking guitar or not, man. It still has value. It's still good. It still inspires an emotional reaction, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, it's not about trying to act heavy, tough, and like, oh, I'm better than you. It's what's going to be the best thing for the people that are listening to your music. What's going to be best for them to enjoy the music. However you can make that happen is however you can make that happen. And then even you as a musician as well, when you're in those point times where you're watching other bands with bands that you're not performing with, so you'd be standing there, you know, in uniform, just like, I wish I was up there. You know, you're wanting to hear the best show too. You're wanting to see the best show too, especially with you guys on tour with I Prevail right now. You being able to see I Prevail, you know, if you want every single night, you want to see the best performance out there. You don't want to have it just be, okay, you know, if it's just as raw as possible, no tracks, you're probably going to be missing out on a lot of pieces that are there, and it's just not going to sound the same. You want to see the best show too, even as a musician.
Yeah. It's important, dude. Yeah, I wouldn't want that stuff neutered for the sake of being more real, because nobody cares about that except musicians. And I'm not making music for musicians. I'm making music for people, you know, like, and musicians are people. No, but no, but like I don't want to make, you know, the fan base I'm trying to accrue is not all those guys crossing their arms playing 8-string guitars and, you know, telling me I'm sweet picking wrong or something like that. You know, those people don't give a shit. You know, it's the people that, you know, it's like the everyday people that like have jobs and like, you know, throw on the radio in the morning and they want to fucking forget about it for a little bit. Like that's who I'm trying to appeal to. It's not like the ungrateful, like, basement musician. So
Yeah, you're trying to appeal to people that when they put your music on, they're putting it on not to try and nitpick it, not because it's the most technically sound thing they've ever heard. They're putting on because they emotionally connect with it in some sort of capacity for the positive. So when you guys come to town, they're willing to shell out their hard-earned money to come see you guys play because you give them such a positive emotional response in whatever capacity it is.
yeah, and you know, all the time I spend is out of respect. All the time I spend off stage, like, getting better at this stuff, and I still practice. You know, I'm still practicing, even though, you know, for some people tell me, they're like, "Oh, you made it, bro." I'm like, no, like, you don't know what that means. And like, once you say that shit, you get complacent. And I'm still learning, and I'm still getting better because I respect, you know, the people that are giving their hard-earned money to come see the band. And for some of these people, man, like, they have one day out of the month, maybe out of 6 months, where they get to go do something. And there's like, if they're there, like, you got to assume that they're like that. You know, you have to assume that this is their one night off, or they got a babysitter for the kids, or, you know, they got one freak night off when they work 7 days a week. They just got lucky and got a night off, and they were able to come see you play. And like, that's a huge thing that you know, I'm grateful for. So like, it's imperative that I do everything I can to like make sure it's a good experience, out of respect for them to choose my band as their one time, you know, their one night off. You know, it's really, it's important to me that it's really good, and that I don't fall off the wagon, and like lots of people do, especially as they age and stuff. You know, I think when you get older too, and you have all the hit songs under your belt, it's easy to be like, oh, I can fucking phone this one in. But you know, I'm never gonna do that. I just this is like a really important, like, craft to me. Like, not just playing shows and being in a band, bro. It's like, no, like, I'm a singer. You know, I'm trying to be a professional. You know, it's really important to me. And if these people don't get the best experience like they could possibly have, then I'm fucking it up, man. You know?
It's that kind of mentality that really is going to help set you apart from a lot of other musicians in the music scene. I've had this conversation similarly before with one other band on the podcast, and you're absolutely right. You know, people that come out to shows, not everyone's going to be at the capacity. Like for me, it's like, yeah, yesterday I went to go see We Came as Romans. Tomorrow I'm traveling to go see Polaris. And then 3 days later, I'm going to see We Came as Romans again. You know, it's like, I can go and do this stuff, but there's a lot of people where going out to show that, like you said, that might be their one thing they get to do a month. That might be their one thing they get to do in 6 months. And it all depends upon the responsibilities that they also have, whether it's kids, job, family obligations, whatever might come in there. And having the understanding, the thought process that is what you're thinking of everybody that you see. It's like, this might be the one chance they get, even all year, to see something like this. And they're spending their time doing this. And you want to make sure that you are absolutely delivering on that 100% of the way, and continue to get better, so that when they even continue to have that free time, they still want to have that positive connection with you, with Flat Black, and just keep going with it. So it's this constant like give and take type thing where it's you're giving the best performance, they're taking the positivity from it, then they're going to give to go see your shows, and it's going to keep coming back and forth, back and forth. That's the kind of stuff that when bands continue to grow and have that longevity, that's what really is the key, is when they're consistently connecting with the fans in that kind of capacity. And when it comes to a preparation, when it comes to a, skill level, trying to get better mindset, keeping humble like that is super damn important and has led bands to so many great heights. And I mean, take a look where you guys are right now. Again, opening for Godsmack and I Prevail already. It's what's going to keep coming next. You guys keep having so much more that continue to happen, and you're only at the start of it right now.
Yeah, and we have this saying in the Flat Black camp, which is like, be cool to everybody. And it's already gotten us quite a ways. And I think you can take this. This isn't just a music thing. I mean, it's the number one thing that I've learned in any industry really, but since my time in the music industry, for all the shit that I've fucked up, for everything that I've been kicked out of, I've been every mistake I've made in this industry, what it's mostly all come down to is just like being like a tolerable, nice person, because there's a lot of fucking hotheads in this, like, in the industry, and it's refreshing to get an expected response, a predictable response, let's say. So we try to, we're very adamant on, all right, no matter who it is, like, it's someone loading your gear in, like, you just be nice to them, like, be just generally kind, and it'll get you really far. And when I really dug, it took me a long time, but when I really dug that into my head of like, okay, just be cool, man, be cool. Like, I mean, people, I'm like a little freaked out by people my age too, like people that are like sort of 4 or 5 years out of college now, and like the I don't know, like it's just like the sort of oversharing stuff, like I don't know how else to put it. Like, people that I talk to that are my age, like I generally know everything that I need to know about them within like 10 sentences of us having a conversation. And it's like in a bad way. It's like not like oh, what do you do for work? What do you do for, it's like, oh, like I got BPD and I have anxiety and I have ADHD, and it's like, dude, that's all fine, like that's cool, but like you don't, like, people don't need to know everything about you like right out the gate. Like that shit, like 10 years ago, that stuff was personal. It was like considered personal, and now it's like expected that like you're going to know everyone's trauma and all their deep-seated issues that they talk about in therapy, like right out the gate. And that is like a one-way ticket to like, oh, I'm going to file this person away in this corner because they've showed me already that they're crazy, or like that there's something disconnect, something's off, like they're unpredictable. And like in this industry and in my life in general, if I was to hire people, like I would want predictable, like I would want stable seeming, like predictable, expected reactions, things like that. So it's like one of those things too, that sort of going back to fans is like, I always say like there's my mom says like, oh, assume assume everyone is having a bad day. And what I do for my version of that with fans is like we were talking about this a little earlier, like assume every fan is like dropping everything to come see you, and like assume that they need, like, that this moment is going to be huge for them, whatever you say. Because dude, I've said like, I really like your hair to people like that I've met in meet and greets, which by the way are incredibly positive experiences. Every musician that has ever talked about that shit is, I don't know what the deal is with that, dude. Meet and greets are so positive, and it's great. I would never, like, I hear so much bad stuff about that from like industry people, but it's really just like it's people are stoked to see you. You're making like a huge moment for them. Like, how could you be upset about that? It's like crazy to me, dude. But yeah, I just like assume everyone just drops everything to come see me or come see my band. And I've said, oh, I really like your hair, and then I like go see the Instagram post later, and it's like, I had the best night ever. Like the singer said he really liked my hair, and it's in the caption. You know, like those moments are huge for people. So you know, just like assuming that everyone's there for like their one night off to come see you, and that you're making their moment is it's been really good for me. And just being, of course, nice to everybody, all those fans that take the time away from the show too. You know, sometimes they leave the show to come meet you and meet and greets and stuff, and it's like not convenient, you know, and they might lose their spot. You know, it's like shit like that. It's all it's all really like positive stuff, and it stems from you just being cool, being normal, being an expected person. That is the key to success. Predictable shit, you know?
So I'd say being cool is definitely probably the best way to describe it, where again, it's you're more relaxed around it as well. You're not getting worked up over the craziest things. You're not having this total unpredicted behavior that's really going to amplify everything. And what you're saying about meet and greets too, because I've done two different meet and greets this year. One was just it was not good. It was like you talked to one person in the band for like 5 minutes while they promoted something that they were doing and then left. And it's like, well, what was this? And then I did the We Came as Romans one yesterday. We played Bags, and I'm just like, shit now. And they were all hanging out, having a blast. Andy was constantly playing all these random like sound bites on his phone. And it's like, just seeing how people reacted to it, how much fun people are having. It's you have such moments where people are, again, spending money to maybe taking the one or two concerts they might be able to go to a year. They're spending all their money on this. They're doing this because they connect so positively with the band. And you have a chance to make that so much more worth it. I mean, everyone I know that left that show yesterday was having a blast with it. Everyone was smiling. Everyone's going to remember this stuff. And I'm pretty sure all of a sudden you're going to start seeing, people start posting pictures on every meet and greet they do where it's like, had so much fun with this, had so much fun with this. Man, we almost won. Maybe someone will get to sign the board because they beat them. Who knows? But it's that kind of stuff. It's that kind of mentality where, predictive behaviors, but also just be cool. Just be understanding that, not everyone's having the best day. This might be the one thing you get to do during the week or the month or the year. But giving that kind of mindset to the fans and having this fan first approach to it as well when it comes to the live show, especially, which it should be. Again, there's bands that say they do it, but it depends upon if you're going to put it into action. And clearly, the way you're thinking about it, the way that people are taking a Flat Black right now, you guys are definitely putting that into action.
Yeah, I mean it's a weird situation, dude. We don't have that much material out. It's brand new. I don't know if you can. I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but there's not a lot of new bands. Like, there's just not in general. There's like not a lot. And I was looking at, I think it was Sick New World was announced today, the new lineup. I think it was today or yesterday. And I was looking at it, and as I go through all these, I just played a bunch of festival Aftershock, and we did Louder Than Life too, Rockville, those kinds of, the Wimmer festivals they call, and they're all fucking great. By the way, they're like the most tightly organized, like professional environments I've ever been in. But that being said, lineup wise, like, dude, some of these lineups are, it's bands from 30 or 40 years ago, and there's not a band within 10 years of youth. Like there's no new bands on anything. And I don't know if that's, I don't know. I'm not, the pro that knows the reason why, but what it sort of tells me is that, nostalgia is such a powerful sales method, and people, like, the reason those bands are on every time, the reason Korn, Slipknot, Nine Inch Nails, all those bands are still around and still headlining is because that's what people want to see. And that there's nobody new and young starting this shit off, no new bands. that people want to see headlining up there, or that that will sell enough tickets, so to speak, to earn that spot. They're not big enough. There's some like new there's some new people, I like, sort of TikTok-esque personalities. Uh, I think like Kim Dracula sort of comes
Mm-hmm.
to mind. He's that's like a new, a newer young act, Zoomer act, as I call it. But yeah, that's new, and but still very low on the
Mm-hmm.
on the what do you call it, the lineup. Still pretty low. But we have bands like Bad Omens and Wage War that are sort of Sleep Token too, sort of pushing through, and they might end up there, within a few years. We'll see. But yeah, it's a weird place to be as a new band, when new bands are seemingly unwelcome in rock music. And I hear a lot of people say that with rock and metal, it's like the fans are sort of keeping new shit out, because they're so bent on the Slipknots and the Corns and stuff. They're so bent on that stuff that, like, there's no room in their mind for anyone else. And the second a new thing comes out, like, oh, this sounds like Chord. The second, like, there's something new, it's like it gets sort of shoehorned into, it gets put into this bucket of, oh, there's another Slipknot band, there's another
Mm-hmm.
Korn band. And I don't know, I think I'm up for the challenge, though, and I think that the songs are good enough to make that not matter. And the songs are really cool. Like, we have, there's when the album comes out, I think a lot more people will understand, and that this is serious stuff, and we've worked really hard on it, and it doesn't sound like everything else that's coming out right now, especially the bands that I like. All the bands that I like, with the synthy sort of hi-hat 808 verse stuff that everyone's doing now. We don't have really any of that, and it's a rock band, but there's songs too, and there's songs that you can remember, and you're gonna come home from the concert singing the words. Like, it's catchy stuff. It's like the songs were imperative with this project, and it's gonna show. And I don't know for sure, man, but I think it's gonna be just fine. I think it's gonna work out. So yeah, that's the gist.
So I think in the end, it might just as well work out, especially what time we're looking at right now. Yeah, when it comes to rock and metal, fans are so hell-bent on nostalgia right now, especially as people my age and even, your age as well, because we're pretty close in that similar age range.
Mhm.
Where when we were listening to like stuff in like, like middle school, it was everything was emo, pop punk. So now it's like all the nostalgia for that is quickly rushing back in. And yeah, there's not that many bands that are popping off that are within the first 10 years of their existence. But which ones are the ones that are able to make that happen over the past couple of years, even 2 years? Bad Omens is the number one case for this. Sleep Token was perfect for this year. Spirit Box can also be thrown in the mix, as well
Right.
as bands that are not 10 years old yet, but are continuing to rise through the ranks and are going to get to a point in time where once these festivals start coming out, it's like, use Larger Than Life as the example. You got 3 headliners up there. Next year, Bad Omens could be one of those 3, just with how big they're getting.
Yep.
But it
Yeah,
shows that even though they only have 3 albums out right now, yeah, they've been around for 8 years. There is something there, and there is more of this accepting of potentially what is new. And it all depends upon how you connect with fans, how you can make that live setting happen, and how your music ends up working in and sounds like something that is not necessarily ordinarily what other people are hearing. Because even look at the biggest bands in the scene right now. Bring Me the Horizon throws whatever the hell they want into a song and it works. Look at what, like I said, Falling in Reverse. Look what they're doing. A Day to Remember with the Easy Course out. Bad Omens. Just throw it all in there. There's so much that's going on there. Sleep Token did it as well. Listening to what you guys did, especially with It's Your Lack of Respect, because I'm listening through this, and right when I get into it, I'm like, okay, right away, this is already starting to hit me, especially as that metalcore punk rock fan that I am. Just really got this great drive behind it. But once the verse hit, man, that first verse, I'm like, did these guys take metal and mix it with a little bit of like German industrial and hardstyle at the same time and put it into a song? Jesus Christ, I'm already into this shit. And I'm like, I'm only 30 seconds into this song and I'm already sold. Like, you got to be fucking kidding me.
Oh, well, thanks, man. I appreciate it. I think that we see when we were writing these tracks too, we saw like how you said German, right? Like,
Yeah.
we of course, you know, I'm gonna butcher that. I'm gonna butcher that. Someone's gonna come after me in the comments for saying Ramstein wrong, but you know, that's one band that we're like, huh, they have all these parts that are really cool, and like we want to take something from this because people fucking love it, and that band's, you know, absolutely massive in Europe, and you know they're big here too.
Yeah.
They're on Octane all the time, dude, and you know, there's something. It's funny. It's so funny you say that because you know that's definitely something that we're looking for. You know, those bands, the you know the bands you that are in that wheelhouse are massive arena bands, and that's what we're trying to do, man. We're not trying to play like Jack's Sugar Shack at 150 capacity for forever. You know, we're straight to arenas, and that's where we'd like to stay.
Absolutely, that's where you'd like to stay. And if you want to stay there, you got to have a sound that's going to be able to have something that's going to make you stay there. And honestly, after listening to Your Lack of Respect, my biggest curiosity is, what the hell else do you still guys have up your sleeve? Because when you guys are able to play around this area where I'm at, where I could go see the show, I couldn't go because I had tickets to go see Bad Omens that same night already. And I was like, well, can only be in one place at one time right now, so shit. But I know I'm like, there's always going to be another chance. There's going to be another time. I'm not going to miss out on that. And I'm a little disappointed in myself, though, because I missed out on that opportunity to see you guys play these songs before they're even out, before anyone really gets to know them and get that full experience of what could this possibly be? How could you possibly get into this? I don't know, but I'm not even ready for it. We'll see what happens. And by the end of the show, I'm like, all right, that's it. I'm sold. We're good. Well, if you guys played It's Your Lack of Respect, first 30 seconds, I'd be like, I'm in. We're in. No question.
Where are you based?
I'm in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Okay, we'll get you. We'll make sure you're all set up next time that we're in the area, though. So sorry you couldn't come see it, but what else is in store? So we have. What can I say here? We have a feature. We have one feature, and there's only one in the whole record, and it's a big one. A guy that wears a mask on stage sometimes that you probably know pretty well, and that one's gonna be big, I think. And then there's a few songs too that there's a couple on there's one song called Lightning that I think is gonna be really big too. It's got this touch of country, which 10 years ago, if you told me that there would be a touch of country and anything I was a part of, I probably would have smacked you across the face. But the reality is, you know, a good song is a good song. And, you know, like I've said probably 100 times, you know, that's the most important thing, is that every song is good, and every song is good. This is a no skipper, man. You won't be skipping anything on this. I think you're gonna like all of it. But yeah, there's a touch of a little touch of country and in one of those songs, and I'm really stoked because I was never too into that type of music. But I don't know if you're familiar with Morgan Wallen, but a couple of those songs, you know, I used to be I like everything but country, but a couple of his songs recently I've been like, damn, do I like country now? Like, am I just getting old? Like, what is happening? So I'm kind of stoked that we were able to channel that without it being too, you know, you know, it's believable. It's still me. I'm not sitting there like with a piece of hay in my mouth and a cowboy hat. I don't put that on, you know. I don't have the country twang. I don't sound like that. So, but it still has like all the power and the massive sort of pop factor that those country songs have. So I think it's going to be really big, but it's also me, and I'm not am not putting on some sort of fake thing. Think sort of like we really like Jelly Roll too. We
Okay.
listen to Jelly Roll all the time. So it's sort of that, it's country, but it's rock. It's like it's still rock music. But yeah, we have there's some heavier songs too. There's a couple heavy songs. There's a couple songs that for my mom so that she can listen to my band. A couple softer songs. But that in between sort of area, which is the Halo, lack of respect sort of sound, it's mostly that with a couple heavier and a couple ones for my mom. So there's something for everybody. I really think everyone's gonna love it. I love it, and I'm a picky person, so I'm hoping that you guys all love it too, as much as I do, and that you come out and sing the goddamn songs with me.
Well, we're going to have to hear the whole thing first before we can sing all the goddamn songs with you. But if you're stoked about this, if you're excited about this, I'm the same way. I'm like, I'll still say anything, but I'm not big into country at all. I don't really care to listen to it. But if someone plays Friends in Low Places, I'm like, I can't deny this is some good stuff. Like,
right,
there's some things, there's just some things you can't deny. But if you're going to throw that in there, have a feature in there with someone who predominantly wears a mask on stage, sometimes doesn't. We're just gonna leave it at that, but there's so much positivity that's gonna be like already wrapped up around this thing that when it gets released, there's gonna be a lot of people that will be clamoring for it, clamoring to see you guys play live again, and hopefully it gets to the point in time where you guys are, the next tour you go on is another like big giant arena tour, or at the very least playing like ballrooms that have like capacities of at least 2,500 to 3,000. That's what we're hoping for.
Yeah, that's the goal, and hopefully getting to Europe as soon as possible, because I've never been there, and I know that the Europeans are gonna love this shit, man. I know it's game over once stuff hits the European waves.
It's gonna be game over, man, and they're not gonna be ready for it. But are we gonna be ready for it too when it comes out? Who knows? But we'll find out next year. And Wes, as we bring this podcast to conclusion, one thing I like to do is give my guests, which is you in this instance, a chance to say whatever you want to say, plug everyone to plug, promote whatever promote at the end of the episode. So my friend, the floor is yours.
All right, guys. So our new single, Justice Will Be Done, is coming out on the 18th, and you can pre-save it now to win a Flat Black merch pack. You're going to love it. The album drops the beginning of next year, and thank you so much for having me, man. Appreciate it.
Perfect. Thanks for being on, man. Now it's time to end with three specific things. First things first, when it comes to making sure you know when the new album's going to come out, that you're already ready for it, and that you're staying in contact with Flat Black, go script for the podcast where it says find Flat Black online. Links and labels for everything, social media wise, YouTube wise, streaming wise, website wise. I'm doing all the hard work for you. I'm doing all the heavy lifting. All you have to do is click on a link and hit follow. Click on a link, buy some merch, get a ticket to something, go stream their stuff. I'm doing all the hard work. So go and help me out and actually click the links, Do that. Now it's time for number 2. Wes, every guest on the podcast, I enjoy having the podcast. I tend to make a certain promise as a way to say thank you for being on the podcast. I appreciate your time, and I wish to continue to support the band in any way I can. And this is how I like to do it, because you, sir, absolutely hit on this. When, I say when because it implies that this will happen. We just don't have a day or time right now. When I get to see you perform live for the first time with Flat Black, I'm going to do my best impersonation of Liam Neeson from Taken. Maybe not wear the leather jacket, but I will look for you. I will pursue you. I will find you. I will also say hi. And first round's on me.
Sounds good.
Perfect. I'm making good on that promise, because now it's time for number 3, where I can't end this by saying goodbye. That is way too final. Hate saying that, because I'd love to have you back on the podcast again in the future. I cannot wait to see you guys perform live. I got to make good on my promise. So this is not goodbye, my friend. This is, I'll see you later.
See you later, man. Thank you.
Woo! Well, folks, I've interviewed with Wes from the band Flat Black, and now it's time for Kevin's final thought. And man, when it comes really down to it, I'm thinking about what Wes had talked about when it came to the live show, when it came to the live setting. Be cool. And man, remember thinking about the fact that a lot of times, people when they go to shows, they're not like me. They might not be like you as well. Me, again, like I said, the day before I shot this, I went to go see We Came as Romans. I'm seeing Polaris the day after I record this. 3 days from now, I'm seeing We Came as Romans again. And it's not always going to be like that for people, or even for me even. Sometimes people can only go see one show a month. Maybe it's one show every 6 months. So if you as a band member, as you as anybody and a musician, have the wherewithal to think, when it comes to live setting, fans first, thinking about, making sure that everything that you're doing is to make sure that they're having a killer time. You're putting on the best show. You are sounding as best as possible. Whether it's from your instrumental standpoint, vocal standpoint, and your live show is the best, whether it means using more tracks or not using tracks at all. It's giving the fans that positive connection, that positive interaction with your music, and fostering that, especially to chance when you have an ability to do that one-on-one. That's what makes bands shine. That's what makes bands like Shinedown, a band that you want to go and see every time they come and play live. Makes a band like Slipknot one you always want to go and see. Makes a band, especially for me right now, makes a band for me like We Came as Romans. Every time I get to go a chance to see them, I'm going to go see them. Shit, I started, at least my first show seeing We Came as Romans was July of 2021. As of October 2023, I'll have seen them 12 times. That doesn't happen if a band doesn't put on one hell of a live show. And I absolutely love it every step of the way. The mentality that Wes has for this makes so much sense as to why this band is already performing, arena shows with Godsmack and I Prevail. And when they go up by themselves, are they going to get that right away? Probably not. But could they potentially play, 1,000 cap, 2,000 cap, 3,000 cap venues? It's possible. Depends on how this new album's going to go, but I feel like it's going to go really well for him. So make sure you stay in line with it. Make sure you stay in touch with it. Go subscribe to the podcast where it says Fine Flat Black Online. Links, labels for everything so you can follow them on social media, get some merch, buy tickets for shows, and stream their music and pre-save the new album when it comes out in early 2024 when it gets announced. Also, make sure to follow along with the Chord Progression podcast. Hit the links in the description of the podcast for Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Make sure to hit the subscribe button right down there, or hit subscribe on Spotify, Podcast, iRadio, Amazon, or follow, whichever one it is. New episodes every single Tuesday and Thursday with bands like this. I know we just had Catch Your Breath. The Word Alive was on. We've had From Ashes to New. We've had Seven Dust. We've had a lot of bands this year, and we're just going to keep it rolling. Also, make sure you hit the like on this video or hit like on the podcast as well. Help push the algorithm and help get more people to know about great new music. And I want to thank you guys for that. Thank you, Wes. And on that note, that's me, guys. Thank you for watching, listening to the Chord Progression podcast. My name is Kevin, and you guys know how I end every single one. That was a big, healthy, and hearty. See ya!